sucking creatures off for blood, upgrading our base to make it look nice, and dying a lot. These are just some of the things we got up to in 100 nights in V Rising. Enjoy. Let us make our geezer. We go for like purple skin or no green. Let's go green. Oh yeah, let's go that one. That looks crazy. Hair. We don't need no hair. Hair's for the weak. Roger Snortwood. Too many spaces.
I am alive.
I am alive. Our journey starts off by starting out in a weird cave, coming out of a weird coffin with nothing on us. And obviously, we need to kill some skeletons to get their bones to make them into weapons. Roger Snortwood is potentially the smartest vampire there is. We used them bones to make a sword, and with that sword we killed more skeletons, and then we made a bone ring, and that ring gave us abilities. We're gonna... let's go from the east this time. Last time we entered from the west. So as you can see, we had left that area and we are now into the woods. With our bones, we are actually able to make some armour. This is going to make us a lot stronger, but also increase our health. We then made some axes and a mace, just so we can chop down trees and also gather stone. We found a wolf with a 69% blood rating. That meant we just got abilities from that, the higher rated blood. And then we had to build a little bit of a base. We placed down some walls just for the quest before getting rid of them, because we didn't want them walls there or just yet. It's pretty much just worth doing whatever the quest says and then getting rid of the stuff if you don't need it just yet. We start off by building our workbench, and there we're able to make better armour, better weapons, and also increase our gear level. The higher our gear level, the higher level bosses we are able to face. We are now able to track V-Bloods, and the first one you can track is Alpha the White Wolf. Before we go out and track him, we place down a furnace so we can get some copper smelted, because we're going to need that in the future. Obviously this is not my first time playing the game, so I do know a little bit of what there is to do in the beginning part. But once we had that ready to go, we tracked the White Wolf and set out to kill it. This fight is very, very basic. There isn't much to it. You look back at it now and you think, you know what, it might have been a little scary when you was only beginning out, but you come against some very, very difficult fights in the future. Once we were able to kill it, we extracted its blood, and we now had the ability to turn into a wolf. So now we could get around just a little bit quicker. We then had a look back at our V-Blood book to see that we could go kill Rufus the Foreman, and he actually made it possible so we could get the crossbow, which is my favourite weapon in the game. So again, we went straight from the wolf straight to Rufus, and we made easy work of him. It was not very difficult. These sort of Act 1 ones are very, very basic bosses. It's sort of, getting you into the game, getting you used to it. We then went for Keely the Frost Archer. Again, another boss that is very, very easy to kill. But before we did that, we decided to place down a blood press. With that, we're able to place in hearts, blood, and just make better stuff, or even stronger blood for future crafting recipes. Obviously, we had a few enemies to deal with before we could get to Keely, but once we got to her, it wasn't too difficult. To be fair though, I kind of did die the first attempt, but no! I had such good blood! Usually you would lose your blood when you died, but I don't know if with the 1.0 update they changed that. But anyway, we came back and we carried on fighting Keely the Frost Archer. As we can see, once the bosses get down to half health, they drop 3 health orbs, meaning you can heal up a little bit, and it just makes it a little bit easier for yourself. After we killed Keely, we had access to our first new ability, and we unlocked Ice Nova. Again, it is a personal favourite of mine, and a spell that I use throughout the whole 100 nights. After that, we head back home and we place down the tannery, so we can start making better leather. We then place down the research desk just so we can unlock new stuff. With paper we can put the paper into the research desk, or any books that we find that can unlock better items, better armour, better weapons, and sort of that sort of stuff. We noticed on the map there was a copper farm nearby, so we headed over there to get as much copper as possible, because again, you go through a lot of resources in this game. It's always good to make sure you've got quite a lot. But before you know it, we were heading back towards the next V-Blood, and this was Errol the Stonebreaker. Again, very simple boss, not much to it, but you also get a lot of copper. So he was easy work, and once we got him down, we were able to go round, get as much copper as possible, and also loot around the whole mine, because there's a bunch of chests as well. But this beginning part, we were not slowing down. We've got rid of Errol, and we were now ready to track the next V-Blood, ready to kill. And we came across a thug with 97% blood. That is good. The stats on that are obviously going to be unreal. It's going to make us a lot stronger, even though we die straight away. The next V-Blood we came across was Grayson the Armourer. This was probably the first boss that gave us any sort of mechanics. You had to pick up the armour and run over all the caltrops. Once you had done that, it was just a DPS race, and then you could extract his blood. Once we extracted his blood, we were able to unlock a new ability, and again, it's an ability that I use for the majority of this game. So obviously we had to give it a go and show off how cool it is. We then returned home, just so we could start improving our items and also unlocking new stuff. We decided to improve our legs. That gave us a little boost on our health as well as our physical and spell power. Then we made a grinder. For you smokers out there, no, it is not a weed grinder. It's a grinder so we can grind down stone and bones so we can make dust. We then set off to go find the next V-Blood. This one is a pain in the ass. I failed it so many times when I initially played, but this time we did a little better, but still, it is quite difficult because he just spawns so many ads. The best way to do it, in my opinion, is run round and just keep using ranged abilities until you get him weak enough, and then he finally dies. Then you suck him off, take his blood, and you unlock some new abilities, as well as some new items. And then we had our first Blood Moon. Blood Moon pretty much gives you a 10% increase in your speed, but it also gives you a 20% increase in your blood type. So technically right now we have got 100% blood. For our next V-Blood, we actually had to kill Nibbles, the putrid rat. Again, a bit of an annoying one, but not too difficult. You actually have to spawn them in by building like some weird sewers and putting in some items, but once you spawn them in and you can get him, you do unlock the rat form. And with the rat form, you can kind of get around a little bit sneakier than usual, but it's not the best form to use. I'd just say use the wolf form. We then made some new storage chests. This is actually going to make life easy. Pretty much now, instead of having everything inside like one chest and just filling them up, you now have specific chests for specific items, and it was just a lot easier to deal with. We then finished the quest before heading out to go get Lydia, the Chaos Archer. I noticed that all the women are archers, so I don't know what the game's trying to tell me, but either way, easy work. We take them down and we extract their blood. We then die to the sun. Oh, no, 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 no. Shit. But once we got back, we unlocked the research for the Merciless Copper Crossbow, meaning we could make that and it was better than our normal one. And then we also got the Warlock Vest, so we unlocked that. So now we look cool and we had a better crossbow, so we were stronger than ever. We placed down a level working station because they now had bags in the game, and with them bags you just pretty much had more inventory space. And then we placed down our first teleporter, meaning we now could teleport straight back to our base and so forth. Our next V-Blood was Clive the Firestarter. Again, very simple, but my advice would be kill everyone around him before you go for him, because otherwise you're going to have archers and people throwing bombs at you, and it does make it quite difficult. But when you take him on his own, he's quite easy. I mean, ranged attacks, run away when he starts throwing bombs, it's not too difficult to deal with. So obviously we just wear Clive down. Clive's a bit of a dick, he's starting fires. Don't do it, kids, don't start fires. Fires are dangerous. So obviously we had to put him in his place. If you start a fire, I'm going to do what I'm doing to him to you. Even though he died. But we were not stopping. We were back. We were like, Clive, this is it. Your fire starting days are over. Get ready to get sucked. I ain't going to lie, I do die a lot. If you've ever watched any of my videos, you'll notice I do die a lot in games. I just cannot help it. I am just so bad at like everything. I've died in games you're not actually meant to die in, so I don't even know how I've done it. Anyway, we made our way back to the base. We decided to make some copper axes and a leather bag, just so we could actually improve our storage capacity. Then we made a merciless copper axe, just meant chopping down trees was going to be a lot easier. Now it was time to face one of the new bosses added with the 1.0 update, Finn the Fisherman. I mean, there's not a lot I can say about him other than he's a fisherman called Finn. He can throw like mad fish at you and throw a net at you, but he, again, very, very easy to kill. There's not much to the fight. A lot of these, I mean, I could show in depth how to do it all, but there's so many bosses to get through and so much stuff to go through. We're going to get through this quick. We finished him, we got him, you know, we now unlocked fishing rods. I've never fished once in this game. I don't see the point of it. Next V-Blood up was Kodia the Ferocious Bear. Was he ferocious? No. I mean, he looked like a kid having a tantrum. He was slamming around, having a hissy fit, and we made easy work of him. Few hits, he was down. And now that we've done him and we sucked him, we were now actually able to turn into a bear ourselves. There's me hoping the next V-Blood is a millionaire so we can suck him and become a millionaire ourselves, but it just doesn't work like that. Back at home, we're improving the storage again. I mean, storage, it's nice when you're able to put everything into a set area, and it's beautiful. Because beforehand, you had like the little chest or a big chest, and everything was a mess. This next boss, Pelora the Feywalker, she's annoying. She's not terrible, but I do die to her once before we do kill her. No, I had her down. As you can see, it was very, very close. It was so annoying. But she spawns, like, spirit animals. They attack you as well. The best thing to do, just avoid them and just do big damage on her. Because, again, with these early bosses, it's just quicker to get them down and killed sooner rather than later. The next one was Nikolaos the Fallen. Again, very similar to one of the early bosses. Spawns in a bunch of, like, skeletons and whatever, demons. Again, just kite them around, do a lot of AoE damage, and ultimately just do big damage to the boss. I feel like they make the first act like purposely quite easy, so then when you get into like the second, third, and fourth act, there's a big shock and you're like, oh my god, this game is actually kind of difficult. I mean, I do one-shot like 90% of the bosses, but it's that 10% that I didn't one-shot, I just died over and over again. As you saw, we got our first ultimate ability. They're just more powerful than your others. And then we unlocked a new ring. Ring of Spellweaver. With that, we were now geared enough to face the final boss of Act 1, Quincy the Bandit King. As you can see, you can't always skip ahead because you do need the bear form to be able to actually get into here to kill the Bandit King. But again, he's another one, not very difficult. He spawns a couple of archers to fight with him. Again, you run around, use the area you've got to make sure you keep your distance. And again, just do big damage on him. I think that's why I enjoyed the crossbow so much. He was able to like keep a good range and not really take much damage. We had him down in no time. He gets stunned by running into the wall, so, you know, bozo. But we suck him, we extract his blood, and we see what we get. Do just want to take this moment to say, if you do enjoy this content and you want to see it filmed live, I do stream on both YouTube and Twitch, and I live stream either the content I'm recording for these videos or just other games in general. Anyway, we're back home, we make a paper press, and then we make ourselves a stone coffin. The paper press, pretty much, you can put grass and you can put in sawdust that will make paper, so we can use that at the research desk. Now, we're pretty much trying to find somewhere to build a new base. We decided to sort of leave the starting zone and move into sort of new areas. And as you can see, the enemies do get harder, but that also means the drops are going to be better, and we now have access to horses. But obviously, because they are harder, it does mean that we are dying quicker. But we also had access to iron now, and that was going to be the next upgrade to our copper weapons. So obviously we needed to build something so we could actually mine the iron, but we also needed to actually find the iron. And look at us, we're on a horse. This is actually sick. As you can tell, I really was enjoying it. Anyway, We made our way to Dawnbreak Village. We had a lot of people to fight, but we could see someone with a very high blood percentage. Obviously, it's always very good to try and get them, but 99%, I mean, so close to perfection. Anyway, we were back around trying to find our next V-Blood. It had become the Blood Moon, and we thought, you know what, let's go for it. And I kind of feel bad for this one. Beatrice the Tailor, she does nothing wrong. She's just an old woman running around. But she tricked us. She pulled us into that house, and then they set the house on fire, and it killed me. But we were back, and Beatrice, she was getting it. I mean, I was putting arrows in her head. I was throwing everything at her. She was a bit of a tank, but finally we were able to wear her down enough to the point where we were able to kill her. How she's a V-Blood, I mean, she's just some old woman running around, you know, screaming for help. I wouldn't say I felt great about doing it, but, you know, Roger Snortwood, he just does what he does. But anyway, we suck her, we get her stuff, and it was another V-Blood down. But still, we wanted to carry on, trying to find somewhere to place our base. We wanted somewhere central, we wanted somewhere out the way, and we had finally found it, and we placed down our castle relocation heart. And with that, pretty much we can place all the items down in our old base, and then that meant that it just transferred it all over really easy. And then, yeah. But obviously, we were just placing stuff down willy-nilly at this point. We didn't really put it anywhere neat. We just wanted to get everything down and start our base. Looking at this now, seeing what we had compared to what we've got at the end, we did do quite well. I mean, we made our base look amazing. I didn't really go over the top, I made it functional and I made it nice, and that is the main thing. Obviously, we need to get some floors down. We wanted to build a building so we could get out of the sun. So we decided to build our heart as more like a crossroads sort of building, get it all set off, and we had our first building built. It was looking good. We had like our central point now. Anyway, we needed to clear a lot of the area around our new base. We had trees, we had random bits of stone, old castles that we had to get rid of before we could place down the flooring. But once we had done that, we could start making the place look nice. This obviously was very draining on resources. Anyway, we wanted to head out and try and find some iron. So we decided to go on a little adventure and hopefully find it, keep checking the map. And I mean, look, it was right there. A sliver of it was exposed, and we had a haunted iron mine. I don't really know what's haunted about it. I mean, there is no ghosts, it's just a bunch of skeletons and undead guardians. I would say it's more an annoying iron mine than a haunted one. But we gather some iron, and we open some pretty good chests. But that is not even the best part. We came across 2 V-Bloods fighting each other, and I mean, one of them, we didn't even know what level she was. She had a skull because we were so underleveled. So we kind of like sat back, third parties, got a few shots off before we jumped in and managed to actually suck the one that I didn't even know what level she was. To turn out she's actually a gear level 50 boss that's going to be, you know, I'm not meant to be doing yet. I mean, we did try and take out the other one as well, but he made easy work of us. But as you can see, 12 levels higher. I mean, we're quite far away from her, but we managed to get her done nice and easy. I know what you're thinking. It's a little cheap. It's a bit cheaty. But you know what? I don't care. This is what I do. But we went back home, we had the iron smelting, and we started building our first room. We was going to make this our storage room, so we had somewhere we could put all our chests, and also, you know, get everything sorted. And we also needed a garden. What vampire doesn't love chilling in the garden, mojito, in the sun, you know, looking at his plants, growing some potatoes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like the dream. Next, we started working on, I don't know, you call it like the workshop area. It's just where we were going to have a lot of our crafters. But our main issue was we were running out of resources a lot. We needed wood, stone, and copper. So we set out to go find all that. And then when we got back, we built a second furnace and a second grinder. And then we started to place some walls up. One, because it sort of gave us a bit more shade to hide in from the sun. But also, the quicker we get it done, the quicker we actually have some sort of safety from the sun. Obviously, it was a bit dark. We placed a few lights down just to light the area up just a little bit. At this point, as you can see, we were very close to having our first actual, working room done. But we went round and placed all the lights and made the place look quite nice. And then we got our storage room complete. We now had 2 actual working rooms. And then we realised that with the furnaces, you actually get a bonus if it has the right flooring and it's an enclosed room. It would make it go quicker and take less resources. So you can see we separated the furnaces and made our own little smelting room. Obviously this didn't happen straight away, it did take quite a while. And in the storage room, we just placed down the other stuff that we didn't need. And then for some reason, we felt we were ready to take down Tristan the vampire hunter. Why we decided to fight a bloke who literally his whole life is killing vampires, I do not know. But we attempted it and it did not go well. He just seems to throw fire a lot. And obviously, as you can imagine, fire is not great for vampires. But once they killed us, we went back, we got our supplies, and we made our way home before placing down another smelter and finally finishing off our smelter room. So as you can see, on top of the smelters, now we had a 25% quicker and also a 25% cost reduction, meaning it now costs, a quarter less. We then built an alchemy table and a loom, but we soon changed the room around anyway. I mean, you end up needing that much stuff. I changed the room about 40 different times. But we needed to go out and pick some cotton. Obviously, where these are, some of the farms do have garlic, and the garlic has a negative effect. But anyway, we made it back home and we got our cotton spinning. We then discovered some shady dealers. I mean, we could go to these and buy some random stuff with our copper. Again, nothing crazy, but we bought a couple of things to see if it was useful. Because, I mean, all upgrades are good at the end of the day. And then we built our first smithy. Now we could actually make iron weapons. After that, we upgraded our boots to the warlock boots before we went back to the smithy to make our first iron crossbow. I mean, it's like a +3 upgrade. It's going to be a lot better than our last one. And it also now had an additional ability. This time we felt a bit more prepared to take on Tristan the Vampire Hunter. I mean, I probably should have waited until it was night time and not do this in the middle of the day, because it did not take us long to die. We got him down to half health, and for some reason he just did not recover the health. So we actually were able to come back in the Blood Moon and fight him at only half health. So again, a little bit cheesy, but that's just how the game's meant to be, clearly. So this time we were able to just use all our abilities on him as quick as possible and get him down nice and quick before we finally finished him off so we could suck him. Because that's what it's all about, making sure you can suck the big bosses. I mean, it was kind of close at the end. I thought he might just get me, but don't worry, I'm a demon. And after we took him down, we unlocked a new ultimate ability, Crimson Beam, one of the best ones you can get. But before you know it, we were going back to go find another V-Blood, Vincent the Frostbringer. Again, another one, not too difficult. He had a couple of people with him, they were easy to deal with. We used our new ability to see it actually healed us for the damage we did. So it's only really useful to use that at low health. But either way, he's got his frost spells, he can freeze you sometimes, but a lot of the time it's just easy to move away from him. He's not the quickest person. But after that, we slowly weared him down, just like I slowly wear down my fiancée, hoping that she will finally sleep with me. Anyway, we get him done. We obviously have to give him the good old suck. I've got a strong suck. I mean, there's nothing left. He's done. But that is him done, and we are now on to Christina the Sun Priestess. Obviously, Sun is bad for vampires, so obviously you can imagine what she's going to try and use. But lucky for us, we're just better. We were able to get her down nice and quick. I mean, she had a couple people with her, and she could heal herself, but as long as you did, a lot of damage at the time, you were able to sort of counteract it. I wish one ability they did add to the game was some way you could maybe stun a boss, just so when they are healing, you're able to use a stun and stop an attack. It would make it a bit easier. But again, this is the thing, it's not meant to be an easy game. But we had Christina down, we had sucked her, and now we headed back into the iron mine. Again, we were just running low, we needed iron for a lot of upgrades, and we just wanted to make sure that we had enough. Once we got back, we made the tailoring bench. With that, we are now able to make new armour, as well as the new hunter's cloak. But obviously, we needed more cotton, so we made our way to the closest farm and harvested as much cotton as we could carry. Sadly, these farms don't actually hold too much cotton. But once we got back, we did put our cotton onto the loom, and then we made our way over to the smithy to make ourselves an iron sword. Just so now, again, we did have a ranged and a close range weapon, just so we could fight a lot easier. And obviously, we made the iron mace before we made our first bit of new armour. Obviously, the armour does give us a big health boost and a lot of different attributes, depending on sort of which ones you wear. We then set out for the Forbidden Tower, looking for Marja the Dark Savant. I mean, why is no one just called like a simple name? Why is the name just not like, I don't know, Beth? That's a common name. But anyway, yeah, we fight her. She's thrown books at you. Again, you can sort of dodge them. They do a bit of damage. But again, dodge the butts. That's about it. There's not really much more to it. Like I said, a lot of these bosses we do end up one-shotting. Come on. Yes. But once we had her down, we sucked her and we grabbed everything she dropped. Again, not too much. Some of them do drop some good stuff. But once we were back, we were finishing up around the base. I mean, we even got Harry Potter style floating candles. We then started crafting some reinforced planks before going for our next V-Blood, Leandra the Shadow Priestess. Where she was, we did have a few skeletons to actually deal with before we could make it up to her and put her, you know, in the ground. Do we bury him? I don't know. Do you bury him after you suck him? I don't know what we do, but they die. But anyway, we find Leandra, and again, easy work. These bosses can be quite simple, as long as you can dodge at the right time and you deal with the right stuff. Again, it's not every boss that can be difficult. There is a few with a few things that can be a little difficult. But these ones, quite simple. But it is still fun, and that is the main thing. I still do, you know, think this is a great game. I had a lot of fun playing it. Did I get stressed at times? Yeah, who doesn't? But anyway. Over and done with, we are happy. That is another V-Blood down. We had a few chests round here and a few good items. On returning home, we grabbed our reinforced planks, and now we could build the next level research desk, which is called the Study. We then went to our alchemy table and made a minor garlic resistance brew, meaning garlics won't affect us as much, but it still does like give you like a small effect. Then we built our artisan table because we now had access to a new pendant. Obviously, the pendants are usually where you get your magical power from, and the better one of them you've got, the better your magic is going to do. But anyway, we grab as much cotton as we can. We've got to search the homes, kill them while you can. We are savages at the end of the day. I mean, who's met a friendly vampire? Like, don't get me wrong, I was all Team Edward back in the day, but he wasn't really that friendly. This time, we wanted to go out and make sure we actually got as much cotton as we could, because again, you just run out a lot and you do need a lot of it for when you actually do end up making more armour. And then we started to smelt some scourge stone. This was just so we could make our new pendant. With a lot of our new cotton yarn ready, we could carry on improving our armour very slowly. And then we headed out to find Krieg the Undead General. We had ran into him before and he'd actually killed us in the iron mine. So we went in trying to find him. We did find him hiding away at the back of the mine playing Cookie Mama. So obviously we set out to try and put him into an early grave. Again, he's undead, so is he in a grave? Damn, he does a lot of damage. As we can see, he's a big spinny thing. He hits hard. Again, it's a lot of dodging. He also calls in a lot of skeletons that you've got to deal with. This is sort of one of the more difficult fights for sort of the Act 2 area. We did get quite close and it was very stressful, but obviously we regained rather quick and we went back to kill him. But this time he was wandering about and we wasted our ultimate. It didn't even make any contact. So already I was thinking, this is it, I'm dying again. But I remembered, we are Roger Snortwood. 2 deaths? Psh, that's nothing. We're going to come back even stronger. Roger Snortwood does not give up. Obviously, the start of the fight, it was not looking good. I was thinking, this is not going to go down well. Lucky enough, this time, our ultimate actually did something. But we did get rather lucky with this one. Clearly, someone was looking out for us and wanted to make sure that Roger Snortwood actually succeeded. Because whilst we were fighting Krieg, look who came along to give us a hand. Our old friend from earlier, Meredith. She'd come and made it easy work. She did a lot of damage to him and also made it just so we could literally go up and suck him. So once he was sucked, we made sure to grab all the iron we could and run away. I did not feel like we're dealing with her again. And once we got home, we crafted some new boots. Then we got our new pendant on the go. We were now feeling stronger than ever. The increase on our spell power, yeah, it was not a big increase, but either way, all progression is good. We then set out again looking for another V-Blood. This time it was for Bane the Shadowblade, but we ran into Simon Belmont the Vampire Hunter, and I've got experience with vampire hunters. All of them seem to be very strong and do a lot of damage. And look at this, I was like half health from one hit. So I did the smart thing and I ran away. Once enough time has passed, we decided to go out looking for Bane the Shadowblade, and for some reason it kept taking me to this hooded person, and it turned out to be the V-Blood in disguise. So we made sure to deal with them. Obviously, we had another vampire hunter again coming near us. We had to take him into the woods and try and get out of the way, because again, vampire hunters are no good. I don't know why they just won't leave Roger Snortwood alone. I mean, what has he ever done to hurt anyone, except from all them villagers he killed just for the cotton? This boss, he had a tendency to pretty much hide himself as a bunch of women with cloaks on multiple times, and you had to try and find the right one. And if you didn't, it would turn into a skeleton that you had to kill. But again, he wasn't too difficult after all. A lot of his attacks were very slow and you were able to get away as you started doing them. But one of the best things about dealing with Bane is now we had the ability to actually turn into a human and walk around hidden. Yeah, it did use quite a bit of blood, but it meant we could now make our way into the little villages and the cities and not be killed. We now had access to new vendors as well, where we could actually use silver. At this point, we only had a place where we could use copper, so now if we had enough silver, we could come out and grab some new stuff. Obviously, we do want to try and get some of this good stuff in the future, but we will see what happens. On the return back to the base, we unlocked our new stuff that we got from killing Bane and the other bosses, so we had quite a few new things to research before we set out for Grethel the Glassblower. Believe it or not, she was over at a glass mine. Well, a quartz mine, but you know, quartz turns into glass, so it's a glass mine at the end of the day. We decided to sneak in with our human form, and at first I thought that would be smart, but by the end of it I decided it was probably not that smart. She was very similar to the last bosses. You know, you didn't really have too much to deal with. They were quite slow, but this time she had big blobs of hot, glass, and if you blew on them, they would blow up and, you know, deal damage. So we did end up dying, but this time we made it back. We killed all the mobs outside so that no one would come in and aid her, and now we made sure to avoid all the big blobs on the floor. It was pretty much get a hit off and run around just until there was an opening. Some of these fights can drag on just a little bit, but as you can see, like when she's doing a big blow thing, if you just stand behind her, she's nowhere near you, and you've got enough time to get multiple hits off. So yeah, once you sort of learn the skill moves and what's going to happen, it is very simple. But we managed to get her down and we sucked her. That was now Grethel the Glassblower down, and she even gave us a cool hat. Next, we went for Terra the Geomancer, and she was actually nearby to where the Glassblower was. This fight, again, was a very unique one, I would say. I probably could have done this first time, but I didn't judge the timing right, and the sun actually killed me. But she turns into a big old, I don't know what you'd call it, a stone golem, who then spawned other stone golems, so you was just killing stones. So I don't really know like what was going to be effective against them because, you know, maybe like a pickaxe. But as you can see, the sun came out and made me into a flaming ball of death. But we got straight back to it. We did big damage to her and we got ready to slap her about. This time we made sure to do it at the start of the night, so we had the whole of the night to do as much damage as possible and hopefully kill her and her weird golems. Again, a lot of this was just walk backwards, do your spells, get a few shots off, not too difficult. When she gets to about half health, she turns into a human again, and obviously she does drop some orbs, so you are able to heal if you do need to. But we're able to get down nice and quick. Again, big spells, big damage, and before you know it, she was dead, and we were able to give it a big old suck. At this point, I've probably got jaw ache because I've been sucking people like there's no tomorrow. Back at the base, we're straight back to the study to unlock our new pendant. We've now got the pendant of the Warlock, and that actually is an improvement on our last one. So we got the materials ready and we crafted that before making our gem cutting table. I don't think I ever actually used it, but anyway, on to Frostmoor, the Mountain Terror. It was a blood moon, we were ready to go. Before we left, we made a new bag, and then we set out to go put an end to Frostmoor, the Mountain Terror's terrible reign of terrorness. You know what, I probably should just like start scripting these videos, because I like play and then commentate afterwards, and I never know what to say. But you saw 100% blood from a polar bear. How lucky, just before we got to the Mountain Terror. Again, not a difficult boss. Does throw a lot of like ice blocks at us, but then it does this weird like, I don't know, shadow realm thing, and it runs around and we have to deal with it. But again, as you can see, all he does like 180 attacks. All you got to do is stand behind it. Your movement's quite quick, and especially when it's a blood moon. I mean, we did have a polar bear try running in to help us, but you know what, bro? We don't need your help. We just want your blood. As you can see, we do kind of get close to nearly being slapped about, but he just didn't continue with his attacks. So we were able to put his reign to an end and suck him. There's a lot of sucking in this video. It's getting kind of weird now. I don't know why I keep saying it. But we now had General Eleanor the Hollow. We were now moving into a new area, and this area actually was a vampire area. And for some reason, no other vampire seems to like me. I thought that, you know, vampires stuck together, but clearly not. Apparently Dracula hates me. I don't know why. I haven't done out. But okay, he just doesn't like Roger Snortwood. He must know that we are just pure Giga Chad, and he knows straight away we could take over the world. But anyway, General Eleanor, we're dealing with her. She's on top of an ice pillar. We didn't know what to do at this point. Do we damage the ice pillar? Do we not? We had multiple enemies on us, and it did not go well the first attack. But the second times, we were determined. We made sure to get rid of the people with her before dealing with her. This time, when she pulled the ice pillar, we made sure to also do a lot of damage to it. Because when she's up high, we can't actually do that much damage. But obviously, our ultimate was very overpowered at the beginning, and we got her down to half health, literally in seconds. Once the ice pillar was down, she was back to the ground, and we were able to carry on doing damage to her. Again, a lot of dodging. Don't get me wrong, her attacks do quite a bit of damage, but as long as you was able to dodge it, you was good. And before you know it, the general was down, and I was sucking her. We decided to have a look how many V-Bloods we had left. We had done quite a few so far, and we had 4 left of Act 3. We then discovered a vendor that could give it ancestral shards for different weapons, and we needed Stygian shards, I don't even know how to say that, but you got them from these big glowy things that float. You break them down, you get the shards, and you can use them to buy something. Then weapons then can be upgraded from level 20 to 23 to 26. But obviously, we were not ready to go in there, guns blazing. We tried taking multiple down, but we were just not ready. There was a lot of them, and they do not stop. These are probably the most annoying mobs in the game, because, I mean, they teleport back and forth, they can charm you, they can do loads of annoying stuff, and they hit hard. but we wanted to grab as many shards as possible before we made our way back home. Once we were home, we started to make some thick leather in the tannery before setting off to a new iron cave we found, and we saw that we couldn't get in without our bear form or explosives. Sadly, we didn't have any explosives on us, but we did have access to the bear form, so we went in and started mining, but we wasn't expecting there actually be kind of like the stone golems again from before in here, so things did get quite annoying. The small ones, not too difficult to deal with, but we did have a big boy come to life and absolutely slap us. I was just there trying to get some iron, you know, why have they got to gatekeep it from me? I mean, I'm weak as it is. Look at him. There's just no need. Look at this big boy coming out, like, what? Why? Leave me alone. He literally took no damage from everything, so we just grabbed our loot and we got out of there. It was not worth staying around. We nearly didn't make it out, but lucky enough, they don't really seem to leave the cave. Once we were back, we placed all our iron into our furnace. It was quite smart having multiple furnaces set up. Then we carried on making more thick leather. We then upgrade our legs, and it felt good to have some fresh pants on. We then decided to build an altar of Stygian Awakening. Pretty much, if you got enough shards, you could get passive abilities. I mean, I didn't really mess with it till the end, and I wish I did sooner. Anyway, we were out tracking our next V-Blood, Jade the Vampire Hunter. If we were able to deal with her, we would have had access to her guns. Obviously, to me, that sounded great, but she knew how to slap. Don't get me wrong, the first attempt we did very good, and we usually do on a lot of these bosses. The first attempt, if we don't end up killing them, we always seem to do very good. But this time, I mean, I felt confident going in, but then I got a bit sloppy. The damage she was doing was unreal. But I mean, look how close we are. But she just would not stop doing so much damage until we finally died. We found her again, and I kind of rushed it. I was overconfident at this point. The sun came out, there was a lot of people about, and I died. But we found her again. This time, I was a bit more confident, I suppose. Ow, I'm through how's she getting me through a fucking tree? But it was just not on our side. I was getting stressed at this point. But we were not giving up. Roger Snortwood does not give up. This time, we made sure to do the best we can to dodge all of her attacks, especially this annoying, stupid one where she was like a sniper, and then she became a machine gun. I mean, she was just mental, but we were getting close. We were weak, but we were close. She was throwing her traps down. I was nervous. All I had to do was not get hit. Look at 18 health. I am so ridiculously close, but then I die again. What is going on? That must have been like 3 times now that she'd been very, very weak, and I was so close to killing her, but I couldn't. But what do I always say? Roger Snortwood does not give up. He learns, he gets better, and he gets stronger, until finally he can kill a vampire hunter and absolutely suck her dry. She was down to half health. The sun was coming up. I was worried. But at the same time, we were not giving up. Not just yet. It was getting close. It was not looking good. But finally, we had Jade the Vampire Hunter down. We sucked her dry. We grabbed all the loot and we ran. We could not be in that sun any longer. And whilst on that high, we decided to go and try and find Rizal the Shepherd. But we noticed once we got there, we were having holy radiation. At this point, I didn't really know what it was until I started taking damage from it, and I realised it was bad. I didn't know what to do. I thought, could we potentially still kill the boss, even though we were taking so much damage? And it was not my smartest idea. It was worth a try, and we did get to see what the boss has to offer, but we soon died. We made it home to see we could actually make a holy resistant potion, and we needed some sunflowers, so we set out to go find some, and we grabbed what we needed. Obviously, we had to make sure to kill a few villagers as well, because, you know, why not? But then we made our potion, and we made our new guns. We then started to expand our base a little bit more. just to the bit that we hadn't started to build yet. We wanted to, not run out of room anytime soon. Lucky enough, we had most of the resources necessary to get the room pretty much complete, and we now had more room if we needed it. We did try messing around with staircases, but I could not figure them out. I don't know how you're meant to do it. It made no sense to me, so we got rid of that shortly. And yeah, it was a bit pointless. I mean, like, how are you meant to get to the ceiling? Like, do we just leave it there? It makes no sense. But anyway, we were back for Raziel. We were going to deal with him this time. We got in our human form, we popped our potion, and we made our way to the V-Blood. Obviously this time it was a lot better because we were not taking damage as we entered. First we wanted to get rid of the guards. I mean, they had some abilities of their own, but they were nothing compared to our new pistols. I mean, it felt good having the guns. They had some quite good abilities. I mean, that ability there is quite good. And with only like a 7-second cooldown, it was a bit overpowered. But we got straight into the fight, damaged the boss, and just dodged everything he threw at us. He kept doing these big holy rings and whatever, but he was very slow. I mean, it was obvious when his abilities were going to happen. The hardest thing to dodge was the big thing coming out of the sky. I mean, he got us once, but we were back again. Remember, Roger Snortwood does not give up. It doesn't matter if it's going to take us 45 attempts. Roger Snortwood will be there until the very last attempt. If it takes us 100, we're going to do it. But anyway, we're back in this fight. We're using our ultimate and we are doing big damage. Got him down to half health again, and then before you know it, he's nearly dead. We're using our abilities, we're using our guns, our crossbow, our favourite, and boom, he's down. The V-Blood is gone. After we suck the shepherd, we pick up all the loot, open all the chests, then we're back home, then before you know it, we're back out again. General Cassius the Betrayer. Oh my god, this boss, this is what nearly, I swear to god, I had to take a couple days off from this game. I could not get this fight down. It was killing me. It was so annoying. First, there was too many mobs. Then he just slapped me, and then I couldn't figure out what I needed to do. And then I figured out I could damage his sword, and then with his sword you could throw it at him. But again, it's getting to that point. We unlocked the Merciless Iron Greatsword. We were going to put it to use to see if that was going to make us any better, hoping that that was going to allow us to finally kill him. Did that work? No, it didn't. Things even got worse. At this point, I was stressing. I felt like every single time I tried this, it just went wrong. No matter what I did, I could just not kill him. I mean, we got close a few times. I changed my abilities. I changed things up, hoping for the best. I even got him onto the second phase at one point, but it just was not happening for me. So we decided to go and skip him and go for the final boss of phase 3, Octavian the Militia Captain. I mean, he started out kind of difficult, but it didn't take too many attempts to actually get him. He was quite simple. He did some fast attacks. But if you can dodge, you are good. And as you can see, our first attempt was going quite well. We got him weak, but then he got us down. But we went back and we went again. For once, Roger Snortwood gave up, but maybe it was for the better because I could not do the last one. We could easily get him down to half health. We were doing it pretty much every fight. The issue was going from half health to finally finishing him off. We kept changing up our abilities, we kept trying to find the best things we could use and the best way to get rid of him. Half the fight was spent running in circles just trying to get away from his big attacks that do this massive amount of damage. But again, we slowly learned the fight, and before you know it, we knew what was coming and when it was coming. And then we had him down and we were able to extract his blood, suck him dry, and look at us. Boom. Done. Act 2 complete, we're on to Act 3. Honestly, things were feeling good, but the next ones were level 60. We had Ziva the Engineer to go and find. This time it took us into a new area and we had different people to face, different enemies, as well as mutants and people that threw fire and God knows what else. And we even came across some farms. This time, instead of getting like cotton and sunflowers, we're getting mutants and tech parts and whatever other crazy stuff you can think of. We were getting it. This area was a bit dirty, and I bet it smelled. You look at it, you think this place stinks. Once we had looted all these houses, we had made our way to where Ziva was hiding, the Transcendum Machine Factory. I mean, they never want to spell anything easy. They want to make every word difficult to say. You know, I'm struggling here. But anyway, we made our way in. And this fight is sort of where the bosses start to get a little more interesting. Instead of it just being the same attacks, she actually changed up what she used. So first she was using electricity, and then it changed to fire, then it would change to something else. And it was quite good. It was difficult, and there had a lot of stuff blocking a lot of my attacks that I kept, not realising that I can't shoot through them. But either way, it was difficult, but it was fun. It was very unique. But anyway, we were back and we were trying again. This time we were confident we could get it done. We knew to stay away from a fire because it did a lot of damage to us. Fire is bad, but obviously we made sure to avoid. We got her down to half health. Obviously, she dropped the healing orbs, and now she was dropping down extra robots on the ground to try and kill us as well. But like a lot of the bosses, it's a lot of running around and trying not to get hit. You've just got to do your best to avoid the attacks and then do as much damage as you can. But if you can summon something in, it's usually quite helpful. But finally, we got her down, we used our ultimate, and boom, Ziva was getting sucked. She couldn't engineer anything anymore, but she did drop some good loot. On our way back to the teleporter, we actually ran into another boss, and this boss was fighting mutants, and we saw this as the perfect opportunity to potentially take him down whilst he was occupied. Already he was nearly down to half health, and we were able to just keep our distance and get in a few good attacks. Once all the mutants were dealt with, obviously he was now aiming for us, but knowing that, we already had him down to half health and we were pretty strong and quite good, I felt confident. But then we died, but I didn't respawn just yet, just to see him die, and I ran back to his body to see that he could literally wait for us to get him sucked. Boom, done. Honestly, we have been quite lucky in this. I mean, so many of these bosses I probably shouldn't have killed when I did. But anyway, we decided to do a bit more exploring in this new area just to see what we could find. And we found a laboratory and we thought, let's kill the enemies, let's have a look inside and see what we can actually discover in this building. There was quite a few enemies to deal with, but I mean, we're Roger Snortwood. They fear us. I mean, we're even coming up against ones with big shields that could, suck us in and bring us close. And, I mean, obviously we want to keep a distance. But then we kind of ran into a V-Blood, and I was like, yeah, we can give him a go. He can't be that hard. And then when we realised that he was going to do a lot of damage and his two basic attacks, got us to half health, I was like, we're out of here. And then we just went back, searching buildings, robbing from the workers, and just ruining their lives because we're just a bit of a dick. We were just really looking for any upgrades or anything that was going to be useful. Was also finding a lot of silver in here, and silver is going to be useful so we can actually trade with the traders. Once we turned back to base, we made a fabricator, and obviously a fabricator is good and useful to make these new stuff. But we were still missing some necessary ingredients, especially iron. So you guessed it, we were out getting iron, and we actually killed Meredith and Krieg again. We just saw them, thought, you know what, let's see what they drop. I mean, we were even stronger now, and they felt easier than ever. These two just seem to fight each other all the time. I can't complain. I mean, it's 3 V-Blood kills for us. But we gathered a lot of iron, and we returned back to start smelting it. Then we went to one of the new vampire merchants to see if we had enough of these shards to potentially get something useful. Sadly we didn't, so we went back to these fortresses and started trying to get some more. At this point we didn't know that they were actually events that went on in different areas where you could get 500 shards at a time, and if I knew that sooner we would have been stronger even quicker. But anyway, we went to the fabricator and we now started making sludge filled canisters. With them, we could make our radium alloys, and then with that, we had access to the Ancestral Forge, with then them shards we were getting, and this is how we actually be able to make them. So we put in the spear, and we wanted to look what we needed to actually craft that. We didn't have what was necessary right now, so we went back to the village where we was before and decided to do a bit more looting. We got some quite good stuff, and obviously we need some more than radium alloys and the sludge. But it doesn't hurt getting all the scrolls and as well as all like the tech parts. We then ran into another V-Blood, Demeanor the Blade Dancer. I mean, she is 5 levels higher than us, but obviously we're going to give her a go, and this woman is quick. She reminds me of Edward Scissorhands if he was a psychopath. But obviously we used our ultimate, and of course it was wasted. He decided to start floating in the air. I mean, what are you doing, Peter Pan? Get down. But we were doing quite well, I thought. The first half of her health, we got down quite quick. But once she got to her second phase, she was just unstoppable, and she downed us quite quick. But you know us, we don't give up. We were willing to try again. But this time, the sun was out, and we didn't want to leave the building, and she just wandered in. There was nothing we could do, so we had to try and stay inside as long as possible and not burn to death. Still, we were able to fight her and not burn. Things were going well. I was hoping, we could maybe get craft on factor 50 and not get burnt, but apparently vampires don't have that. Anyway, we got her down to the second phase, and this time I was feeling confident. I thought, you know what, we've got this. One thing about Roger Snortwood, he's a fast learner and he knows how to run away from big balls. So we dodge past all them and make her look a fool. And we do some big damage. I mean, she's trying all the tricks. It ain't working. We are better. We are stronger. We are Roger Snortwood. I mean, it did get kind of close. I was a bit worried that we were going to choke last minute. But we managed to get her down and we sucked her. And we even unlocked some good stuff from her. Obviously, we love loot. Anyway, we got back. We made the Merciless Iron Spear, which is one thing we needed to get the Gladiator Spear, which is from the shards. We now had our best weapon, our spear. It increased our level massively, and to actually upgrade it, we needed a Dark Silver Spear, and at that point, we didn't even know what that was. Anyway, we build a weapon storage. We just put the weapons in there that we don't actually need. We carry a lot rounds. It's a bit pointless for us. With this next part, if you are scared of spiders, I would not watch. I would probably skip ahead just a little bit because there's quite a lot of spiders and there is a spider boss. But anyway, we go into the big spider cave and we have to kill Ungora, the Spider Queen. The hardest part about this is actually getting in to the spider cave. Not only are we in a new area and the mobs are even harder, but they just don't leave you alone, and the big spiders with loads of eggs on the back spawn so many in. But anyway, we took them down and we moved on to the boss. I thought, this could be quite easy, we can do this quite well, but this was quite difficult at this moment. We were getting slapped about. I mean, I didn't know what to do. We were getting swarmed, and it wasn't long before, sadly, we did die. I definitely felt like we were just not ready to face this boss just yet. We decide to head over to try and get some more shards, hoping to get a better crossbow. At this point, I was very confident we could get this done, but then I didn't realise we actually needed the improved iron crossbow, so buying that and wasting all of them was a bit pointless. Anyway, we decided to try and move on to the next boss over in the Cursed Forest. But before we left to go over there, we decided to quickly go check the vendors and see if they had the Merciless Iron Crossbow anywhere. Sadly, they didn't, and I'm not going to lie, it didn't pop up until just before I faced the last V-Blood. Anyway, we are over in the Cursed Forest, and if you can see at the bottom right, above our ability bar, there is actually a debuff, and when that reaches 100, you can't see anything on the map, and it is very easy to get lost. And I'm not going to lie, this was an annoying experience, because we kept finding Ben the Old Wanderer, the next V-Blood we needed to find, but he didn't stand and fight, he ran away. And the annoying thing is, if he got too far away, he just healed himself and went back to full health. And I got him quite weak loads, but it never worked. And then one of our gear items broke, meaning we actually were quite low level and we just did no damage to him. So we tried a few times. He kept getting away and he kept healing. And I mean, look how close we are now. But these stupid tangle things, and then we end up dying. And I was stressed at this point. But you know what? We felt confident. I don't know why we felt confident, but then I realised we're Roger Snortwood. We've got this. We tried our best, but sadly, the second time was not meant to happen. We decided to try General Cassius the Betrayer again, thinking this time I'm a little stronger. You know, it was a new day, I had a clear head, I felt like I could do this. And this time, lucky enough, I was able to get it done. We got him down to half health nice and easy. Our new spear made light work of him. The amount of damage we did was absolutely unreal, and there was nothing he could do to keep up with us. This moment, honestly, I felt like I had won the lottery. We took someone down that I had died easily like 20 times to. I didn't even show all the deaths because it would have been way too long. With that little victory, we felt confident enough to go back into the spider cave and deal with Ungora. This time we thought, you know what, let's stick to using our spear. What can go wrong? There's a lot of dodging, a lot of running away, and making sure that we just focused on actually what was happening around us. I feel like that was the issue of a lot of these fights. I would get distracted by other stuff. Like, if they spawned someone else in, that would distract me enough to the point where I would try and fight them instead of trying to fight the spider. As you can see, we got very close, and that made us feel like this time is going to be it. Third time lucky, we were going to be able to deal with this boss and kill Ungora. I do enjoy these new abilities that they've placed in and the way they've done it. It means you can sort of play any playstyle you want and still sort of be able to do any boss. I mean, you don't have to use any abilities at all if you didn't want to, or if you just wanted to use a certain type. You can use whatever and still be strong. But as you can see, the Spider Queen fell. She was no more. We got her down nice and quick, and we made sure to suck her. But that was it. Another V-Blood down. We decided to go for Ben the Old Wanderer again. This time, we didn't check what time of day it was, and we walked into the sun and burnt to a crisp. But look again, look how close we were getting. I mean, we even ran into another V-Blood who decided to throw us in the air, and we had no chance. It felt like everything was against us. No matter what we did, something or someone was there to mess up our day. But lucky for us and my sanity, the next time around, we were able to take him out. We took down Ben the Old Wanderer and we sucked him, and we were now able to move on from him and look further into the future. After taking down the Spider V-Blood, we were now able to make silk, and after taking down Ben, we were now able to make pristine leather. We then built a Stygian summoning circle, and we had a look what we could get with it, and nothing really, tickled my fancy. So we made another tannery. Then we needed to get some more shards, so we went back to harvesting them. It then became a blood moon, which helped us out with our 44% blood, but then we had some new armour to make, some Dawn Fawn armour. This stuff was going to increase our health a lot, but also our physical power and our gear level. We needed some more silkworms, so we headed back over to the spider area to go harvest them. Then we even saw a spider with a high blood percentage. So that is always very good for us because we want that high blood. Then we needed some more mutant slime so we could make some more pristine leather. Again, we were out trying to get it, doing what we do best. And we even ran into the same V-Blood once again. So we did what we do and we took him down, hoping that he would drop something useful for us. Sadly, he didn't. But anyway, we're back again, getting more shards. This point was just very grindy. As we were waiting for stuff to finish, we were grinding other stuff. And then we did this and summoned the Blood Harpy that was going to drop us some research books, that hopefully was going to give us some new equipment. It was like a wait and see sort of thing, but it was a waste of time, really. We then had a look what V-Blood was next, and now it was Falrot the Soul Taker. We went into this sort of like ghost village, if you can call it that. These things were actually quite difficult. Some of them were easy, but like the Banshees were annoying. Then we approached Falrot and we were ready to take his soul and his blood. Sadly though, the first time it never goes well. Not only did I not account for what time of day it was, I mean we got him down to half health. Things were looking promising, but the sun just does too much damage and it limits where we can be. It just makes dodging these attacks very difficult. I mean look how close we were, and if it wasn't sunny we would have had him. Anyway, we were straight back just as it was turning night time, and this time we were ready. We knew his attacks, we knew what we needed to do, and we were feeling confident. Roger Snortwood was ready to take him down. We used our ultimate just at the right time, and he pretty much had no health left. We used the rest of our attacks and got him down to 0 HP, and we extracted his blood. That was another V-Blood down. We were making good progress. We started to track the next V-Blood, Wilfred the Village Elder. Lucky for us, this was right next to our base. Either way, they were werewolves. Again, not too difficult to deal with. It was just a lot of dodging, and obviously this time we made sure it was night time again because we make that mistake a lot. Before you know it, he was down to half health. He called some of his people to help and they all ran round in a circle. I don't know if they were meant to turn into werewolves, but before you know it, he was down and we had his blood. After that, we decided to track the next V-Blood that we were going to take down. And on finding this one, obviously we couldn't see. And I actually ran into the Ron V-Blood, but decided to take him down anyway. This one was actually the last V-Blood of Act 3, so we took this one down before the other. I mean, it doesn't make much difference in a lot of these unless you need an ability or an item from a previous V-Blood to access this one. But as you can see, our ultimate did a lot of damage and they just sort of kept the distance anyway, so using our crossbow was quite easy. But we sucked him, and that was the end of Cyril the Cursed Smith. Obviously we grabbed the loot and then we actually made on to Albert the Duke of Balaton, which was a giant frog, which I was not expecting. This one was actually a lot more difficult than the last boss. I wasn't expecting it to be, but it was. I mean, you could do damage quite well, but again, it was sunny, and they called in a lot of other frogs to fight with them. So this one was a lot of handling multiple different enemies and making sure you didn't get swallowed by the big frog and spat out in the air. They also did venom, which obviously does damage over time, and we didn't want to deal with that. We did our best to obviously maintain a good distance, but with our spear being our strongest weapon at the moment, we have to make sure we stay up and close. Lucky enough, our ultimate was ready just at the right time, to the point where we were able to get him down to a very low HP. Obviously, once we had done that, we sucked him dry. I've never sucked a frog before, and that sounds very weird. But we were out of iron again, so you guessed it, we are back mining iron. Meredith is there once again. We were not dealing with her. I'm bored of her at this point. She's more boring than Meredith Grey in fucking Grey's Anatomy. What a boring character. Anyway, once we had returned back to our base, we decided to change up the room just a little bit so we could fit in some of our new stuff. We now had access to the anvil, and with that we could now make dark silver items. We had also unlocked the better furnace, so now we could actually smelt the dark iron inside this furnace. So the main thing for us is to head out and look for it. And when we saw Silverlight Hills, something was just telling me that we could find silver there, and we already found some in the woods, but that wasn't going to be enough. We then came across this fortress looking building that turned out to be a sacred silver mine. We had no access through the main door and we didn't know how to get in. But lucky for us, Roger Snortwood is the smartest vampire in the world, and we knew all we had to do was go round the side and we would potentially find the hole. I mean, we did try and turn into a frog and jump the wall, but it wouldn't let us. But it's okay, you don't need to see that part. So we made our way into the silver mine, and the first thing we wanted to do was get through this and make our way to the V-Blood at the beginning. So we dealt with him, and to be fair, again, not a difficult boss to deal with. He just stood there, did a few charges, and that was about it. And we also saw that we could open the gate from the inside, so we weren't going to be stuck in here. He did put up a big wall of ice, and we just walked around the side of it, and then just slowly killed him. He then made an ice block. Again, you just do enough damage to the point where it's a bit pointless. I mean, he's healing, but yeah, some of these bosses are a bit daft. Either way, V-Blood down, we sucked him, and Sir Magnus was down. Obviously, we can't carry that much silver without taking damage, so we took what little silver we had to make some more, and it showed us that we didn't actually have everything we needed. We needed some ghost crystals, and we needed to grind them down to make the required stuff so we could actually make the silver. So we grabbed as much as we could. There wasn't actually that much available for us to get, but then we decided to make a better bag so we could carry more silver. When we went over to the anvil, we had a look what we wanted to make, and we saw that we could make the dark silver crossbow, so obviously we made that. Then we made our first armor storage. There we were able to just get rid of a bunch of random stuff we had lying around. Then the next V-Blood we were after was Baron de Bouchon the Sommelier. I probably butchered that. I think he's French. But anyway, he was there and we were able to deal with him. He sent barrels flying at us. I think he's in like a brewery. I mean, fair enough. I mean, I don't get how he's difficult to deal with. Why am I killing like tailors and brewers and stuff? Like, I understand killing like the evil ones or whatever. But yeah, some of these bosses, like I said, I don't get it. But again, this was another boss that was not too difficult. All we had to do was dodge the barrels and just do a good bit of damage to him. He ran round, he didn't really do too much damage to us. He didn't even do that many attacks. He just spent his time drinking his drink. The most annoying part was how difficult it was to actually dodge the barrels and that they would stun us every time. But before long, Baron de Bouchon, the sommelier, was down and we sucked him. And then we saw that we actually had another V-Blood close, Morian the Stormwing Matriarch, so we headed in her direction to see that she was actually a harpy. And then we got jumped by about 40 harpies trying to get to her, and this was harder than the actual boss fight because we had to deal with loads of them. But we just ran round and we kept bringing them through this gap here because it closed them all in and we'd do any attack that was sort of, going to damage multiple of them. Once obviously we dealt with all these harpies, that meant we could actually make our way to the V-Blood. We went straight in with an attack, hoping to get as much damage as possible before they even start attacking me. Again, this battle was going well. I felt like we were actually going to get this done first time round, but then she spawned in a bunch of harpies and it becomes quite overwhelming. And when you've got them spinning round and you've got nowhere to go and you do take a lot of damage, things do end badly. Also, some of our items broke and we just didn't have enough level to actually finish them off. Our pendant broke, meaning our spell power was next to nothing. Lucky enough, we had a new one we could make. We had a lot of the items ready to go, but we just didn't have this blood murloc and we didn't know what it was. And we saw that we actually had to get a prison cell, trap a villager and put him in there, and then make blood murloc with his blood. So we had to dominate the human. With this, I think you can make like multiple different slaves. It's not something I ever did. I did this once with this one human, dominated them, sent them back to the castle, and that was it. I didn't really feel the need to do it anymore. It doesn't really tell you much, but I don't know if I've missed out on anything. But once we had control of this human, we sent them back to the base with a bunch of bats. And again, once they were there, we saw that we could make the blood murloc. We just needed some sacred grapes, and we got them from the Silverlight area. Obviously, they had a bunch of vineyards around there, so we made our way over there to go get some grapes. On the way, we saw someone with 100% blood. For some reason, I thought this would be a smart idea to get them, and it took us like 3 or 4 attempts to not die to finally get their blood. But it was worth it in the end because 100% blood is the best we can get, and it even boosts all our attributes by 25%. So we made it to the vineyard and we grabbed as many grapes as we could without getting killed. And obviously, once we had grabbed all them, we made our way back quickly so we could get this blood murloc made. The quicker we got a new pendant made, the quicker we could get back to killing V-Bloods. We now had a gear score of 74 and a spell power of 36.2. So already we were going into this battle even stronger. So we used the same game plan as last time. Go in, do a lot of damage and just hope for the best. keep moving, don't stand still, and you should be alright. But obviously, some of our abilities don't let us move whilst doing it, so it is slightly annoying. But with this, it did work out. We were able to get damage done to her nice and quick and just keep out of the way. Obviously, the minute she's down, it's worth getting straight in there to extract the blood, because it does kill the enemies around her. The next V-Blood we went for was Maywin the Elementalist. This one felt really, really easy. I mean, we did so much damage to her, yet she was having a fire attack, so I was a bit worried. But as you can see, we were doing so much damage, and then there was two of them, and a lot of our skills actually do damage in an area, so we were able to damage both of them at the same time and just do a ridiculous amount of damage overall. So before you know it, we had her down and we were sucking her blood. I think that's why I love this ultimate ability so much, because it heals you, but it does just a ridiculous amount of damage. But anyway, she was down and we were able to suck her blood. After that, we decided because we were close to the silver mine, we would head over there and get as much silver as possible. We grabbed what we could, having to use our spear because we actually hadn't upgraded our axe or our mace for such a long time, but there just didn't seem, any reason to. We were carrying quite a lot of silver and we were taking damage, but we were able to make our way back without dying, luckily. We were then back into the Cursed Forest looking for Maktka, the Curse Weaver. We found them shortly and we started out strong like always, making sure we do a lot of damage straight off the bat. The annoying thing about this boss, they would turn you into a pig, and they would also have mosquitoes that would come and suck your blood, meaning that you actually would lose blood percentage. It was annoying, but again, the boss just didn't have much health, and our damage was a lot higher than the boss's. So before you know it, Maktka got sucked. That was another V-Blood down, and we were getting closer to finally facing Dracula himself. The next V-Blood on the list was one that we had actually dealt with before, but this time we were strong enough to actually fight him. This time we weren't going to run away. I mean, he's kind of cool. He's like a Dr. Octopus, but like a B-Tech version, because I don't actually know what sort of era we're in. I feel like we're in Victorian times, nothing crazy, kids still swept chimneys and worked in factories and stuff. I mean, I'd be rubbish. I was a big kid. If I get in a chimney, I'm probably stuck. How do you explain that? You just go run to your house oh yeah, he's stuck in a chimney. Right, I'm getting a little bit distracted here. Anyway, Henry Blackbrew, the Doctor, is down. We upgraded our research desk to now an Anaphytium. Yeah, one of them. And now we had access to the Sanguine Longbow, our strongest item yet. All we had to do was make the Dark Silver Longbow, and then we could have access to it. We upgraded to our Advanced Loom as well, meaning we can now make Ghost String. But before you know it, we're on to the next V-Blood. Terraclaw the Ogre. We were looking around and it was pretty obvious where he's going to be. But again, dealt with him quite easy. He was just a very simple boss. I mean, he sort of spawned in some shadow animals that we had to deal with. Very similar to some past bosses. But again, fun fight overall. He was dropping ice down, but we were just stronger. I don't know if the abilities that we use actually, matter on each enemy, if it does less damage for certain people or not. But all I can say is I feel pretty strong with what I was using at the time. And we sort of had a mix of every sort of thing. That was a lot of sort ofs there. Sort of. That was a lot of sort ofs. But Terraclaw was down and he got sucked. Then we had Azariel the Sunbringer. I was a bit worried that this was going to be somewhere where we were going to be unable to go because there was going to be some holy resistance. And we actually went into this town and the people there were actually able to spot us. And then when we got close, we were taking holy radiation. But this was heavy holy radiation, a lot worse than the one before. And now the holy statues actually attacked us. So we were not ready for it. And we needed to have a look if we could actually make a stronger holy potion. We unlocked some new stuff over our and we could see that we needed to make a holy resistance potion to make the upgraded one. Whilst we were waiting for that, we decided to go for the next V-Blood, Voltatia the Power Master. What a cool name. We made our way there and looked for the V-Blood, and they were waiting for us. We were ready to go. I mean, 3 levels higher, we still felt confident we could do this. And lucky for us, this was just like a very slow enemy. They did a bit of damage, but, you know, they were just slow. They weren't quick with their attacks. And when they put this big barrier up, you just go behind it. It's a bit daft, really. I mean, I was playing this on the normal difficulty. I think there's like easy, medium, and brutal, or whatever. It's something like casual, normal, and brutal. I was playing it on the normal. I weren't going to go for the brutal, and I thought there's no point going for the easy. Let's, see what happens. And I'm not going to lie, it didn't feel too difficult on a lot of the bosses. Anyway, with our new holy potion in hand, we made our way over to the city to try and deal with this V-Blood. Lucky enough this time, we weren't taking any damage, and Azrael was not ready for us. Again, we used all our abilities at once, doing a bit of damage before they were in, and all we had to do was dodge his holy attacks. Again, I ain't scared. Holiness is nothing for me. You know what they always say? Any hole's a goal, and if it's holy, wear a hat. Anyway, he started to heal himself, so we used our ultimate to just sort of counteract it. He called in a few, other enemies. Didn't really do too much because we could call in our own. And before you know it, he was down and we were able to suck him. Azrael, you were weak, mate. It shows that, why be a holy man when you can be a vampire? Azrael the Sunbringer down, and we were feeling good. We were feeling powerful, and we were even on to a blood moon. But now it was time to deal with Simon Belmont the Vampire Hunter. We've dealt with him before. Still, even we don't know what level he is. And he was hard the last time we faced him. He throws a lot of fire, and fire is not good. We were lucky enough to actually have a fire resistance potion on us, and we had that popped. So we were a little bit stronger going into this fight. But still, it just wasn't enough. His damage was quite good. I mean, don't get me wrong, we put up a good fight, but we were just not able to deal with him. His Mending Cross, again, as you can see, it does a lot of damage to me, but it also heals him for quite a lot. And we were at the point where we were weak, and he finally took us down. We decided to head back home and have a look at actually what upgrades we could get. We could upgrade our amulet, but we could upgrade our longbow as well. So we needed to figure out what we needed to do. With the amulet, we needed power cores, and with them we needed to take the depleted batteries and charge them. And in the description it does say it gets charged by lightning. So I kept standing in lightning and taking damage, and I even died to the lightning hoping to charge them. And then I found this machine, which is a lightning harvester, so I felt like a bit of a mug that I was just running around in lightning trying to figure this out. But we had our 10 charged batteries and things were looking good, so now all we had to do was make our 12 power cores. So we made our way over to the fabricator, and we saw that we needed some radium alloys as well as the batteries to get these done. So we chucked them in there with our 20 charged batteries, and then we made our dark silver longbow with the stuff we had lying around. We were then running low on sulfur, so we made our way over to the mine so we could get some more sulfur, and we could get a lot of it in bear form anyway. Then we had everything we needed to make the new amulet and the new longbow, so now we were stronger than ever. With the new amulet on and the new longbow, we actually jumped up to an 81 gear score. We actually didn't have many V-Bloods left. But anyway, we decided to go back out and hunt Simon Belmont and hopefully be able to deal with him. This time, it was actually out in the open that we found him instead of in the Colosseum. To be fair, it didn't really make much difference. It just meant that there was a smaller area to fight him, but it actually worked in our favour. This time round, we were more than prepared. We felt a lot stronger, and we also knew what attacks he was going to do. So we just made sure, to get out the way when we needed to, but also get in close when it was necessary. And before you know it, he was gone. Simon Belmont, you couldn't hunt shit, mate. Another V-Blood down, and we were even closer to getting rid of the big bad Dracula. The next person we had to face was Laws Styx, the Night Champion. This one actually was in a strange area that I didn't even know existed, and there was a lot of like blood crystals about. But again, quite a simple boss, not difficult at all. They threw a few bats at you, did a few cool moves, but other than that, very simple to deal with. The hardest part during the fight was trying to avoid the flying dragony thing in the air that would throw down fire on the floor. If you could avoid that and deal with the mobs at the same time, I mean, you were good. It didn't really take too much to actually understand this fight, and you understood it after the first sort of rotation. I'm not going to lie, you spent a lot of time standing still, doing whatever with bats, and I mean, cool, you control bats, but that's kind of shit when I can just beat you. But before you know it, he was down, and we sucked him dry, and we unlocked the ability to turn into a bat. At this point, I actually forgot about that, but I do use it in the future. But we now had the blood key, meaning we actually could gain access to Dracula's keep. But we didn't really need that right now, and it was very draining on resources, so we just slowly collected them as we went along. The next V-Blood we had on the list was Gore Crusher the Behemoth. Obviously, we'd ran into him before, and I was a bit worried about him. I thought he was going to be like very difficult, but again, he wasn't. He was a very, very simple boss. He didn't really do too much. A lot of us running into walls and then getting stunned, and you just walked away. He did some weird shadow creatures, but again, very, very easy to deal with. Once they were down, he sort of just lied there, and then, yeah, that was it. Over and done with. He might be a behemoth, but he's also a massive pusso. But we sucked him, and we were on to the next. This is where things started to get a little bit more difficult. This next V-Blood was one that, again, took me a while to master. There was a lot of deaths, a lot of frustration, but yeah, we finally got there in the end, do not worry. The basic thing with her, she did a lot of damage in a lot of crazy attacks, but she also called forward I don't know what you'd call it, maybe like a tomb? It's like an old torture device, and it would pull you in, and if it did suck you in, it would then enclose you in it and actually take your health and your blood. I did kind of get close at one point, and I was like, maybe we're going to do it, but yeah, this... Is it an Iron Maiden? I believe that's what it's called, actually. That thing, that would mess me up. But we didn't just die the once to her, we died a lot, and we kept dying and dying and dying again, and yeah, it was not good for me. I mean, every time the Iron Maiden got us, it was drain our blood, so we were constantly running out of blood. And no matter how close we got, I just never felt like we were ever going to get this one done. But we managed to change our abilities up, and we tried using an ice shield, and with that we could inflict the damage that the boss was doing onto us back on themselves. So our main focus was sort of to get the Iron Maiden broken, and then once that the general received, you know, sort of the half health, you know, second phase sort of, you know, deal, they were quite easy to deal with. The hardest part was dealing with the Iron Maiden and dealing with the General at the same time. But we finally got them done, and oh my god, the relief. That was another stressful one. But trust me, there is one more that made me debate life. The next V-Blood was somewhere up high, so I had a look around the map and found anything that matched the description. And lucky enough, we were able to find Talzor the Winged Horror. This fight just dragged on. I mean, it wasn't too difficult, but we just didn't do that much damage to it. So we were just constantly just knocking away little bits of health at a time and just making sure that we didn't die in the process. This thing, I mean, it shot balls out, then it charged you, and then it flew around in the air, spitting around fire. It did the same attacks, there wasn't much variety to it. So it was very easy to understand, but say the main thing was just staying alive. You couldn't really lose concentration, you couldn't focus anything else, you just needed to get it done. I came very close to dying a few times, but again, once we got them down to half health and I was able to heal, things were looking a bit more positive. With it being a blood moon did help a little bit. It meant that obviously our blood was at 80% instead of 60%. But finally, after a very, very long fight, we finally got the V-Blood down, and Talzor, the winged horror, was no more. This is when we unlocked our first soul shard, and with soul shards, for some reason, you can't place them down anywhere except specific soul shards like chests, and you couldn't turn into a bat either. But we unlocked some new gloves, and we needed certain other types of bloods to be able to use them. Bit annoying, but it is what it is. But we are now able to actually get bat leather, and for that we needed bat hide and the advanced tannery. So we went out, we got some bat hide, we made the advanced tannery and saw that it takes 4 pristine leather and 20 bat hide to make 1 bat leather. So it's a very, very grindy item. We then made our way to the next V-Blood, but this one we realised once we landed we were going to need some holy resistance once again. Initially, when the game was not fully released, this was actually the last boss you could go against, but now it is not. It's actually the third to last, I believe. But anyway, we took our holy resistance and we made our way in. Again, this was a very, very difficult boss fight. This actually took me like 2 days. I mean, I kept having breaks, I kept coming back, hoping to finally get this boss done. Once you get them down to half health, that is quite easy, but it's the part afterwards. They bring forward a divine angel, and this divine angel, maxed with Solaris, is almost impossible to deal with. And again, we died many, many, many times, and we even got close to killing him at one point, but it just wasn't enough. This actually took me so long. I mean, we tried crafting potions, we tried everything we could to get this done. And it took so long to the point that I learned every move. I knew exactly what he was going to do and when. We got him down to the half health. I made sure to pull the shield. And once we got him down fully, he then went into some bubble. And then we had to kill the angel that turned into a fallen angel who would then break his bubble and help us fight. So you sort of have to kill them in the right order and make sure things don't go wrong. So again, it's a very long fight and a lot can go wrong very quick. So you have to be focused and make sure you are constantly paying attention. But we finally, with the help of the fallen angel, got him down. And oh my God, I could have cried. This is 2 days of work right here. I mean, hours at a time, constantly trying. And then going back, trying to upgrade, trying different stuff, and it just wasn't working. Our next boss, Adam the Firstborn. Again, very frustrating, very annoying, a very difficult fight, dying a shit ton again, but lucky enough for us, we were actually able to get this done a lot quicker than the last one. He was quite simple, you had to do a lot of dodging. All you had to do was make sure you stayed away from him. The best thing to do was do a lot of damage at the start, because once you got him to half health, you had the ability to actually heal again. And once you got him down fully, he would then recover half his health. And that was the part where it got more difficult, because then he started spawning in different beams of light that would come round and mess us up. He did also keep spawning barriers, and that meant that the amount of times I'd do an attack and it'd do nothing because the barrier was there was countless. We pretty much relied on our ultimate to sort of like kite him out the way. But as you can see, this is him now, calling in different things and also calling down this big electric beam that just annoying. I mean, it is so much damage and I was so close to dying so many times, but we finally got him and we sucked Adam dry. This was it. This was the second to last boss. All we had to do now was kill Dracula. We needed the blood amulet. We needed to craft it so we could get into his castle. We also wanted to upgrade our armor to make sure that we had the best chance possible. With our new armor on and our blood amulet crafted, we decided to upgrade our spear just one more time, just to the max, just so we at least had a ranged and an up-close weapon. Blood amulet acquired, we then set off straight to Dracula's castle. We were able to pass through and make our way in. I'm not going to lie, it's a shithole, he needs some maids or something. But then we had to go into the Shadow Realm to actually get him. Bit of a disclaimer now, sadly, a lot of my footage from this fight got corrupted. I mean, it took me like 3 attempts, but for some reason, I got the first bit and then it it like corrupted. I managed to like scrape together the last part. So pretty much he goes from being alive, kicking my ass, to like almost dead and then finished. So sadly, yeah, I weren't able to get the full fight, but we finally took Dracula down. Things felt great, and I thought, I can't redo that fight. I can't do it to myself. It was a very long fight, but we finally got him done. We've taken down Dracula. Roger Snortwood came from being a nobody to being the greatest vampire in history. In this place between worlds, you can feel the whispers at your back, a presence from the Shadow Realm, a surge of power that heralds its champion upon Varadon, a destiny meant for Dracula, now inherited by you. By Roger Snortwood. In our 100 nights, I feel like we've done an amazing job, not only dealing with all the V-Bloods, but also building this amazing base. Not only have we dealt with a lot of annoying things, we've also came back stronger. So if you have enjoyed and you want to see more, like, subscribe.